So if you've been watching my videos, you've probably picked up on the fact that I like talking about veganism, me being a vegan. I also like to talk about ethnic backgrounds. So I figured, let's merge these two topics in a convenient video that I think is interesting, and that is there a certain ethnic background that's more likely to choose to be vegan? Now, just to be clear, I'm not talking about people who are basically forced to. My understanding, and all the documentaries and books I've read, much of China by default has been and still is vegan, just because they don't have access to affording much meat or milking cows or that sort of thing, making cheese. They end up having rice and vegetables. That's what they eat by default. I understand the same thing about people in South America. There's certain countries where they end up having corn and vegetables. That's their diet. Grains and vegetables is mainly what they eat in addition to fruit. So by default they're vegan because they can't really afford more or have access to more. Okay, that's not a choice. That's not my question. My question is there an ethnic background, a group of people who are more inclined to choose to be vegan? That's what I'm asking. Now, I recognize that here in America, it's absolutely a trend, especially here. Something like 6% of the American population is now vegan. Google that. You'll probably find one of my websites talking about it. Okay, but just a couple years ago, it was less than 0.5%. So I mean, it's really spiked. It's definitely a trend here in America. People are choosing to become vegan, and not so much for animal rights, but for health reasons, like I did. I used to have diacitrotic eczema. This complete nasal passage was blocked off from sinus pressure all the time, sinus infections, and I was allergic to animals. All that went away when I became a vegan. It's not a choice for me to go back. I don't want to choose that life again. So we could say maybe in theory, well, okay, well then white people are more likely to go vegan because that's a trend in America, and America has a decent sized population. Well, but we're not all just European descent. You know, I wonder, and I've pointed out before, if there's ever been the most open-minded demographic to veganism that I've ever dealt with, and I've made videos about this before, is African American women, black women. When they learn that I'm a vegan, always have plenty of sincere questions for me. They want to know more about it. The most closed-minded demographic is older white men. They basically throw a lot of judgment at me and criticize me even for the fact that my wife and kids are vegetarian too. They want to tear me apart when they find that out. Yet, every time I've ever had a white man do that, an older white man, yeah, you guessed it, type 2 diabetes, and he sees no connection between the two, that eating too much meat and or sugar could have some effect on you actually getting type 2 diabetes. So it's interesting to see black women, black American women, compared to older white men. It's interesting. So that's probably what inspired this video. To see that, I just wonder if certain ethnic backgrounds are most likely to choose this when it's a choice, because I recognize I live in a first world country here in America. I have a choice. If I wanted to, I could eat nothing but fast food and drink soda and I could be obese. I could choose that. I could also choose to be vegan. And many people would say, well, it costs more money to be a vegan than it costs to be obese, because people get obese by eating a bunch of processed junk food and a lot of animal products. But Nick, you have a choice. You obviously do well enough financially where it's a choice for you and your family. Well, okay, so be it. I mean, we may learn too that, because a lot of times ethnic background is attached to a certain amount of money. There are certain countries in the world that are poorer than others, certain continents that are poorer than others, and therefore the people are going to be more of the same ethnic background, just the way it works out. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Well, no, I don't like it. I guess I am saying it's wrong. I wish it wasn't that way. I wished that there weren't people that had to be poor. And I recognize even on this channel, I think this is something I imply, I recognize that as an American, for me to be wealthy, by default, that means people across the world don't even have water to drink. While we have our water parks here in America, people don't even have clean water to drink. So I recognize that. But ultimately, I'm distracting myself. My question, is it possible that there's a certain ethnic group of people that's more likely to be vegan, whether it's people who are of European descent or Hispanic descent Spanish descent. I'm lots of things. And if you need to know that, look in the trailer for this video that'll tell you all the breakdown. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe people in Africa are vegan. More people in, where are the most vegans? If we can figure out one place where the most vegans are, and then we can see, is there a certain race that makes up that nation or group of people, so we can answer this question. I really don't know, and I don't know that there's enough studies to even know the answer. Or if you just want to guess or talk more about it, I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments right here.